Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Shileds versus Marshall is all or nothing. Fight taking place this weekend. I think that's 15 October. And I've done so many videos on Shileds versus Marshall. I'm gonna do a few more before the fight. But let me tell you, everybody was disappointed and trying to be positive when this fight got canceled. But we can all understand with the Queen's passing that it's kind of out of everyone's control. The build-up to this fight was, monumental, was massive, was very expensive. And for the fight to be pulled from underneath everyone, which again is beyond everyone's control, there was a lot of money lost. A lot of money lost. And for these fighters, and I'm just going to talk about Shileds and Marshall, was very discouraging. Very, very discouraging. Now, this is where you find out just how resilient someone is. You find out about their support system. And you find out about just where they are mentally when trying to reset themselves entering a second fight week for what is the biggest moment of their lives. And for me, I'm not so sure either one of them are where they need to be mentally, where they need to be physically, where they need to be emotionally, and where they need to be spiritually going into this reset mode and this second opportunity at fighting each other. Because what built up with that first fight date they had, both of them were in tremendous shape. They were where you wanted to be mentally, where you wanted to be physically, where you wanted to be spiritually, and where you want to be emotionally. But I don't care who you are. You're human. I'm human. They're human. To just have your balloon popped and told, okay, go on back. It's kind of hang out for 30 days. Watch your weight. Get a little rest. Take a break and then come on back and we'll get back into the swing of things. Talk about trying to remotivate yourself. That's like, man, trying to go from first to sixth gear. You know they have some six-gear vehicles out there. When you downshift from sixth, fifth, fourth, third, second, first gear, you go from to. You understand? You shock the engine like that. And then you come back now and say, okay, let's go from first. Because look, 30 days is a short period of time. So you figure out of those 30 days, 1 week was a dead week of them just lounging around being miserable, feeling sorry for themselves, being angry, being disappointed, being depressed, right? So really it's 3 weeks. You want them to build up from that first gear to fifth, sixth gear in 3 weeks? It took them to get from first gear to sixth gear over the last goddamn year. And to have that pull from them, force the downshift, lose a week, which is a dead week because there wasn't much going on either side, to all of a sudden, and Clarissa Shields had to fly back to the States. That shit is hard on your body. Now you got both of them here, and you guys, let's be realistic. You expect both of them to put forward an optimal performance this weekend? Now, what I will say is, what we're going to see is going to be great because they're great fighters. But I don't believe for 1 second the fight we're going to get this weekend is going to be anywhere close to the fight we would have had if it wasn't rescheduled. I just don't think so. Now, what I will tell you is this. Savannah Marshall seems to have been bothered the most by the resetting of the fight date. She went on record and she said a few things that got my attention. But being depressed, not wanting to fight, just at home, wondering why me? It's always me. She took a victim stance. Now, I'm not trying to look into anything. I think Savannah Marshall's a great fighter. But we're human. And if the delay in this bout had any effect on anyone, it's Savannah Marshall. I'm listening to things she's coming out saying. She's not talking about whipping ass. Put the microphone in front of her face. She's like, well, I'm glad I got a second opportunity. Because in this boxing game, you win or lose after a week or so, they move on to the next fight, your history. So I'm fortunate to have another opportunity to try to create history and have this fight. But she just, before she was kind of perked up and kind of, you could tell she was ready for battle. She was a bit more verbal. She was never really animated, but she was lively. But now she seems kind of subdued and kind of like, kind of emotional, and she seems drained. And when a fighter tells you, they had a tough time just getting out of bed for several days, and still still really find it hard to get out of bed, maybe that's some gamesmanship. But that's not good, man. So she says she did her best to forget about boxing. I mean, you're trying to forget about boxing. You were struggling with getting out the bed. You still have a tough time getting out the bed. You were depressed. You felt like this always happens to me, victim stance. And now you come back and you're still kind of subdued and you still seem like, there's a disconnect somewhere. That's concerning for me. Now, Clarissa Shields, put a microphone in front of her face. I'm going to beat that bitch's ass. I'm going to show that bitch. I look like Beyonce, body like Serena. She wants to be like me. Yo, man. Can't make this stuff up. Clarissa Shields hasn't missed a beat. She's still crazy. She still, thinks very highly of herself. She's still talking the same stuff. And for that reason, I'm going to say Clarissa Shields, she didn't go home, take a week off, try to forget about boxing. She didn't get depressed. She didn't struggle with getting up out of bed. She didn't sit there and say, this always happens to me. I think she just said, yeah, they just delayed the ass whipping. That's Clarissa Shields. No, I'm fine. It's okay. It ain't nothing. They just postponed her ass whipping. But for that reason, when I look at the energy they're bringing into this fight week, I'm kind of leaning towards Clarissa Shields because listen to what I'm going to say. In boxing, the best fighter doesn't win. The boxer who fights the best. And when we look at Savannah Marshall, if she doesn't show some signs of life in the next couple of days, I'm not so sure those betting odds are going to be in her favor because right now she's still the betting favorite. But for me, just watching, hey, I'm no expert on behavior and stuff like that, right? And body language and stuff like that. But I'm a common sense man. And when I hear someone telling me that they're still struggling to get out of bed and about trying to maintain their weight and they're depressed and this and that, it's like, that's not good, man. The mindset has to switch at some point, and that's what I'm getting at. The mindset has to switch. And I don't know what it's going to take to be in fight week and for the mindset not to switch and come back on and say, okay, kill. Like that's what the mindset should be right now. Frustrated, making weight, angry, agitated. Get this camera out my effing face. You know what I'm saying? maybe she doesn't speak like that, but that can be the behavior. You can tell someone becomes a little irritable, even for them. Savannah Marshall's not a small woman. So, that, her trying to go 30 days and watching her weight, that's just not easy. Clarissa Shields, same thing. She's not really a small woman. She can cut weight. She's disciplined, but these aren't small women. But Savannah Marshall, man, she just, I don't know, when she starts saying stuff like, I get to savor these memories twice, and, the additional weeks of camp, I just wasn't really looking forward to it, but I had to do it. That's concerning for me, man. That's concerning for me. Keep talking about, how they've already tapered down, and to have to go and do that again. And, I just, sounds to me, she just doesn't sound to me like she's 100% ready. But I think physically she'll be there. I think mentally she's probably 75% when you compare where she was before the Queen's passing. Before then, I thought, man, all systems would go. Stars lined up. She was ready, primed, ready to go. Clarissa Shields, same thing, primed, ready to go. Stars lined up, all systems go. You look at where Clarissa Shields is now, nothing changed. Nothing, didn't miss a beat. So it's all or nothing. Now, there's no rematch in this fight. As far as who's going to win, I really think it's a 50-50 fight. But at this point right now, I'm really leaning more towards Shields just based on what I'm getting from Savannah Marshall. She just seems like she just almost is there because she has to be. And I find that quite bothersome. Okay? But at the end of the day, there's no rematch. So whoever loses, there will only be a rematch if there's a demand for the fight. And I think there's going to be a demand for the fight, and I think it's going to be highly competitive. But I think Shields, like I've been saying, I think Shields wins the fight, especially now. Before, I thought Savannah Marshall, at some point she's going to touch her, and if Shields can't handle that, Marshall's going to get her out of there. But it's only 2-minute rounds. I think we got to remember that. It's only 2-minute rounds, so they can go fast. I don't expect to see anyone fatigue. Although it's female boxing, these young ladies, some of the time they spar 4-minute rounds. So 2 minutes is nothing to them. So they're going to get in there and they're going to go all out. But I still feel if Shields stands there and wants to trade to prove a point, she can, take a punch. I think Shields can get in trouble because, she's human. She's been dropped before. Flash knockdown, but she's been dropped. But if Marshall connects, we see when Marshall hits these ladies, it's not like she tickles them. They don't go in the corner and laugh and giggle, coochie coo. No, they sprawled out, man, like they're making snowmen in the ring. They're out of there. So if Savannah Marshall catches Clarissa Shields, man, that's could be nighty-night, but, opinions are split on it. But right now, I think this is going to be one of the better fights we've seen all year. I think this fight could take the cake, man, especially if they come in and go to war. It's only 2-minute rounds. And if they use that additional month to really kind of recover and stay kind of, because they both peaked, but if they were to maintain that, then great. But I'm just not liking the way Savannah Marshall's sounding. But we will find out. And I'm looking forward to the weigh-in, looking forward to everything, man. Exciting fight. So that being said, I'll leave it as that. There were concerns about both of them kind of ballooning up, gaining weight. But we'll see how it goes, because if they weren't able to control their weight and they have to come now this week and, try to sweat it off, run it off, kill themselves by not drinking water, not eating for 3-4 days, that shit could just be a problem, man. So hopefully that's not the case with them, but we'll see. We will see. But that being said, leave your comments below. I am going to pick. Before I was kind of leaning more towards Savannah Marshall. I said Shields should win by boxing because, she's never been stopped. She always outclasses her opponents. Why would it be any different? But I was giving Savannah Marshall a puncher's chance, kind of like with Deontay Wilder's. Like, hey, it only takes one. At some point she's going to land. What's going to happen? But right now, I don't know. I think I'm leaning a little more towards Shields just because Shields seems to be the one who's able to maintain their resiliency. And I could be wrong, but I know that matters. That matters. But we'll find out, won't we? But that being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to all the veterans. Shout out to everybody across all 7 continents. I appreciate everyone. I'm in the breeze.